I'm envisioning like the literally like you're giving them a dip out of the way of a fireball, right? That's what I'm
Yeah,
envisioning here. Some like, swirl and pirouette into evading the giant tendrils of acid that are flying towards you.
I
That's very
want to be
fun.
envisioning that.
But you're stuck in hoedown mode. You're like a do-si-do over here, partner, and the
I've
fire just goes right past their head. To be fair, also fantastic
never listened
fantasy,
to
just very
country
different.
music in my life. I don't know.
Here we are, though.
Hello, friends. Robert Pepin here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are covering the new Bard subclass, the College of Dance.
I do too much money dance, so there's too much of this going on all the time. It's
Yeah,
it's it's always awful. I love it.
there's only so much you can do with this tiny rectangle.
Also true. This is a new option that they've added, and it's kind of like if Monk and Bard had a baby. And I don't know if I wanted that, but we
I
got
don't,
it.
I don't know. Look at it. I mean, this feels natural to the Bard, and it makes sense
Yes,
magically. I mean, this is just
100%.
like all somatic component effects.
Yeah. I do think there's something a little bit odd to me about looking at these four Bard subclasses that are presented, right? Because Bards seem to have the most disjointed identity as far as what their subclass means. So, like, College of Dance is very clearly a specific kind of performance. College of Glamour is just like an aesthetic thing. College of Lore is like you learned your magic in the world and storytelling is sort of what you're about. And the College of Valor is like you're also a knight. Like
Yeah.
I don't really see this as that cohesive as a vision of fantasy. Now, it's not necessarily a problem. I think as mechanic buckets, these do encapsulate a lot of different kinds of characters. I think you can make a College of Glamour character that predominantly expresses themselves through dance. I also think you can make a College of Dance character that looks like a glamour bard. You
Oh,
could definitely,
I think you'd have a hard time not doing that.
yeah, the mixing
I
and
mean,
matching is gonna happen a lot, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's, where you have some options like wizard that feel very much this is a pillar of how a wizard looks. A whole school of magic is clearly defined. Bard's a lot more loosey goosey, which kind of fits for the class.
yeah, I don't have a problem with this. I mean,
Oh, me either.
yeah. So what does this
We
give us?
the features I have a little bit more issues. We'll talk about them. So we start with Dazzling Footwork at third level. One thing I wish they updated this edition, but they didn't, was they should have given Bard one more feature. They have one more subclass feature because they only get 3 for some reason. Like everyone else gets at least 4, and Bards get 3, and I hate that. But oh well. At third level, we get Dazzling Footwork.
Well,
So while you
they get 4, but just at 3 different levels, which
yeah,
is weird.
I wanted them to get it at 4 levels
Yeah,
because I don't even think all the other subclasses get 4 features. Yeah, Glamour only gets 3 features.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they should have moved to some things or given them a 7th level feature or something. It's not important. They wanted backwards compatibility over all else. That's not important. What is important are the new features that are kind of interesting. So you get Dazzling Footwork. This is your like primary way of expression. So while you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield, like a monk, you get the following benefits: advantage on charisma performance checks that involve dance, obviously. Unarmored defense, so you have an AC of 10 plus your dex plus charisma, which is going to be very high. Like, this is going to be like a 17, 18 AC. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right out of the gate. And it's your base armor class, which means you can add on to that with rings or
Yeah.
cloaks or whatever.
As long as it's not armor or shield, you can add AC
Right.
to this for
Yeah.
sure. You also get Agile Strikes. So whenever you expend a use of your Bardic Inspiration as part of an action, bonus action, or reaction, you can make an unarmed strike as part of that action, bonus action, or reaction. Okay? And you also get Bardic damage, so you can use Dex instead of Strength for the attack rolls of your unarmed strikes. And whenever you deal damage with an unarmed strike, you deal bludgeon damage equal to your Bardic Inspiration die plus your Dex mod instead of the normal Strength damage of +1. It doesn't expend any use of the dice. It just is whenever you use Bardic Inspiration dice, you can also kick or punch something. Now, Bob, is that a real beneficial feature?
Um. Well, I mean, yeah, because none of this says you can't be holding a weapon. So,
I mean, so like the
but
idea is this gives you free extra attacks, right?
that's
Every time you
true.
use a Bardic Inspiration die for Bardic Inspiration, hypothetically, you can kick somebody. Hypothetically, you can punch
Yeah.
somebody. Now, do you still want to be in combat? I guess
You
probably
might.
for the fantasy, but like, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical.
All right, so explain to me the problem here.
So bards historically they're full casters, right? You have
Yeah,
big splashy magical effects, you've got concentration that you care to maintain, they're applying conditions and debuffs and buffs to party, so you don't often want to be in there squaring up with people and punching them in the face. Your action is not given any real encouragement to use punching or kicking. I don't think the adding dex mod to your hits is solving any of this problem, right? Because it doesn't let you attack with charisma or anything like that. You're still not gonna have any, it's not going to be your highest stat by a lot, and your action's almost always going to be better doing something else. So you're really only going to be making these attacks whenever you're using Bardic Inspiration, right?
right.
Is this quantity of 3 attacks-ish
Mm.
that require you using all of your Bardic Inspiration dice, is that worth getting you in danger?
Maybe at level 3.
Maybe at level 3, I think, is the right answer. Past that, I grow more and more concerned. Like, I don't know how much I'm actually going to care about this at levels 5, 6, 7, and 8, just because there's options.
I I can see me because it's a feature I have. I'm
Mhm.
gonna, dance my way into somebody's face and then slap them
Mhm.
just because I can, and yeah, it's gonna get me in trouble.
But hold on, that is deeply bardic, right? That's 100.
Yeah,
Getting in trouble by being that audacious is very flavorfully fitting. I'm not against this feature. I think this feature is sweet. I just don't think it's that good. Is that fair? Right?
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I would love playing with this feature. I will get myself killed playing with this feature for sure. The AC definitely helps. You do get a giant chunk of AC out
Yeah,
of this too, but yeah. I mean, all things considered, I would have loved this to get extra attack, but fun fact, they don't get it. So you don't get to like actually square up and do monk things with this. For the most part, you're going to be doing this as a, well, give out bonus action, bardic inspirations, and get a kick in here and there, and that'll be something. It's going to always feel terrible if you ever have to expend bardic inspiration and aren't getting a kick in. You're going to really hate being like, ugh, I'm sorry, bud. You're going to have to stick this out for an extra round for me to get there because I don't want to use a bardic inspiration and not get my free punch in, you know?
well, I mean, you can always like run up to the weakest guy out on the
Yeah.
outskirts of the enemies, or and hope that big AC bump protects you.
It'll protect you enough. You'll feel terrible if you're ever concentrating on anything worth
Yeah.
protecting, though. Like, you won't. I think you're gonna not want to do that if you've got something you really, really need to protect. But
Or I mean, like I said, you're a full caster. If you're like,
yeah, like
yeah,
once you get 9th level, are we really gonna put ourselves at risk if we can help it? You might be in this position where you just are at risk anyway, and you're like, ah, screw it, I'm gonna punch this thing that's kicking me in the nards anyway.
well, maybe the level 6 features will make it worth not using this. Let's see.
All right, so we got 2 more level 6 features. We get inspiring movement and tandem footwork. So when an enemy you can see within, this is inspiring movement. When an enemy you can see within 5 feet of you ends its turn within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to expend a bardic inspiration die to move up to half your speed. Then an ally of your choice within 30 feet of you can also move up to half their speed using their reaction. None of this features movement products opportunity attacks. So it's kind of like a something ends its turn near you. You can use a bardic inspiration die, run away from it, and get a kick in on the way out. Sure. Kind of neat, right?
Wait, you get a kick in? What?
Yeah, so because
Oh,
you're
because
using a bardic
yeah.
inspiration die.
All right, yeah, that's true. So, yeah, that kind of gives us reason to keep using the dazzling footwork.
Woo, D10 damage on the way out. Like, yeah, okay. Why
Why
not?
not? And
Yeah,
then
definitely why
you
not?
and then you dosey do with your partner,
Hmm?
and he comes in and gets in the way. So you know,
I do love the idea where like that particular picture is really funny, right? Where the paladin's fighting somebody else and the bar goes and like he just screams, kicks them, and the paladin just goes, "Oh my god!" and runs over and replaces. That's very fun. Love
yeah.
that.
And that's the
Very.
only. I mean, this square dancing image is the only thing I have in mind as to visualizing how this works.
I mean, you could go so much sexier with a tango, but I guess we can square dance in this day and age. Sure. We got tandem footwork also as a feature here. When you roll initiative, you can spend a use of bardic inspiration, which means you can punch something. If you don't already have the incapacitated condition, when you do so, roll your inspiration die. You and each ally within 30 feet that sees or hear you gain a bonus to initiative equal to the roll number. So everyone goes a little bit sooner in combat. Cool. It's kind of a
It's called
non-mo with. the first feature though, right? Because you're usually, when you're rolling initiative, not directly on top of somebody. But if they get the drop on
Yeah.
you, you'll use this, right? They'll be like, okay, yeah, screw you. When we roll initiative before round 1, I'm kicking you, even if you have surprise.
I, I love it as tandem footwork. It's like everybody's dancing together now.
Yes,
It's like
yes.
one of those
And
like bad '90s movies where you're the black guy teaching all your white friends to dance.
yeah,
Like,
I do think there's gonna be a lot of funny moments where like you're trying to start Footloose and everyone else is just like, oh yeah, sure, we'll all dance with you, I guess, and the paladin has to do the little shuffle back and forth to get the bonus to initiative. That's gonna be funny. That's gonna be a fun painting. Like this undeniably is gonna look and be fun at tables, and I do ask that at my board options. Again, I'm not sold that the power's really there, but it is fine.
well, I don't know. See, you don't value initiative as much as I do, but I mean,
True.
when you're giving your entire team initiative, an initiative bonus, that
It's
can be
also
huge.
it's a sizable one, right? Like this is gonna be like a D10
Yeah,
in the upper tiers. Each D12, I think, is what it caps out at, and that's like an average of +6. Especially on Bard, you do care about going first just to get those giant AoE saves down that debilitate people. So you probably are using this every single time. Again, I do kind of it does kind of feel like a nombo to me with the bardic damage though. Like I would really like, or agile strikes or whichever it is. I would really like for this to be a more consistent way to get the kick in. I would love for this to be a little bit more like actually kick punchy dance fighting. But
but I mean, if you're getting your entire team to go, I mean, we've had the initiative video with alternative initiatives, but if you're playing standard, you know, everybody gets individual initiative, and you're in the can and the encounter's been set up for that, and you get your entire team to go first, that's potentially encounter ending.
sooner, yes, but I agree that it has the potential to end encounters before they start, for sure. Okay, especially like if you and the wizard happen to go before anyone else gets a chance to,
Right.
disgusting things can happen. So again, that's another reason why I advocate for the other initiative system instead of this, because there can just sometimes randomly be non-encounters, and these kinds of features, at least with these kinds of features, as a DM, you can plan for them a bit more by expecting my party is going to be going sooner, usually all together. I can
Right.
probably plan for that and just make encounters more challenging, have some more fodder in there to eat up the early actions. I don't know.
But
I stand by that. I don't like the initiative mechanics in this game, but as far as if when we're using those features, this is a good version of that feature, right?
yeah, I like it.
We also end with level 14, Leading Evasion. When you are subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dex saving throw to only take half damage, you instead take no damage if you see on the save and half if you fail. So it's evasion. If any creature within
Yeah.
5 feet of you are making the same dex saving throw, it shares the benefit for the save.
Yeah.
That's kind of
That's
cool.
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, and again, I'm picturing this as you grab them by the elbow and you twirl them out of the way, and
Oh, see,
I
I'm
guess
envisioning this. My bard is not doing hoedowns. My bard is like,
I don't.
in the
I've
tuxedo
never
with the
been
rose in
to
the
a
mouth,
square
like just
dance.
doing.
Yeah, I don't
But
know
it's all you
why.
can think about.
Yes.
I'm envisioning like the literally like you're giving them a dip out of the way of a fireball, right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
envisioning here. Some like, swirl and pirouette into evading the giant tendrils of acid that are flying towards you.
I
That's very
want to be
fun.
envisioning that.
But you're stuck in hoedown mode. You're
I'm-
like a do-si-do over here, partner, and the fire just goes right past their head. To be fair,
I've
also
never
fantastic
listened
fantasy,
to
just very
country
different.
music in my life. I don't know.
Here we are though.
Yeah.
I do think leading evasion is just a defensive feature, and it is a very limited defensive feature. You just having evasion is fine, but it only applies to dex saves, so a lot of encounters is not going to be that useful. Like most encounters, is not going to be that useful. So it's not my favorite top end feature to get. I like it just as a bare bones class skeleton feature more than a subclass feature. In the encounters where you do get to help someone save out of a dex save is going to feel great, but I actually still I don't think this is that powerful. It's gonna have powerful moments.
Yeah.
It's not usable in most encounters, though, right? That's just
That's
factual.
true.
Like, that's not where I want my features to be, generally speaking. Now, everything else is usable in almost every encounter, for sure. I think Inspiring Movement, Tandem Footwork, and Dazzling Footwork are all passive benefits you'll use all the time. So it's not the end of the world. But it's not like... I think you shouldn't go into this expecting the kick punching fantasy that I want it to do. I want this to be able to dance all over people and do some martial stuff with punchy kicky goodness. I think doing that will actively make your encounters harder because you're going to be putting yourself in positions you probably don't want to be. And I think you're going to more often find, like Bob's example, you're going to use tandem footwork to get or inspiring movement, I'm sorry, to get yourself out of danger by doing a switcheroo with somebody, no opportunity attacks provided to save yourself from harm and get someone into a better position to kill your enemies. You're going to still want to like tactically treat and stuff and get a kick in the nuts in there every once in a while.
But I mean, I think that, the inspiring movement makes the dazzling footwork more usable. Still not amazing.
Barely more usable. Like, it's, again, you're gonna get a kick on the way out sometimes. That's not
Yeah.
that riveting, right? I do think low tiers, this is gonna be a blast to play with. I want to make that clear. I think levels 1, 2, and 3, this is, I think, a genuinely powerful third level feature just because that's still a tier where D8 damage, D6 damage with mods is just good, and you get free extra ones. That's great. But in the mid tiers where things are looking at like 70, 80 hit points, it's gonna feel like a drop in the bucket, and it's not gonna be something you're gonna prioritize that much because it scales like garbage. I wish you eventually, like, if they also stabled you could to make 2 attacks at 14th level with it instead of 1. It's not scaling that well, but it is kind of cute, flavorful. It's still helping it out. It's giving you some reasons to use it, but alas, we're stuck with a non-scaling feature for the most part, and that's not going to be that riveting.
Yeah, I think the strongest thing here, I think, is the tandem footwork.
Yeah, I hate that. That's probably true.
Yeah.
Inspiring
Ooh.
movement, I think, will be pretty cool sometimes. I think on almost every encounter you'll find ways to use inspiring movement, right?
Yeah.
Especially if, like, this part is selling the fantasy where you are going to have ways to navigate melee combat without getting yourself killed. You can reposition as needed as fights are starting to, like, lock down their positioning and things early. There'll be ways that you can survive early combat, and that'll help you do that. Despite my excitement for this, I don't think it's that good. I think this is probably like a C level option. It's gonna be
Yeah, it hurts me to agree, but I do.
like, unironically, I think armor defense and tandem footwork are probably the 2 most important things that this gets, and that's fine, but it's like a little bit better than light armor, and it's, a bonus to initiative that you're gonna have to spend a bardic inspiration die getting.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not that exciting to me. The exciting stuff is the stuff that I was like, this probably isn't that good, but I'm definitely gonna find ways to do it. And I'm kind of here for those kinds of features, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I am super into subclasses that are this power level, that are this fun. I do think you will have a great time playing College Dance Bard, but I wouldn't expect it to like crack the game in half by any stretch.
I mean, depending on how initiative goes, it very well might, and the
Tandem,
makeup of
foot,
the rest of your party.
tandem footwork might get really annoying as a DM if you don't
Yeah.
account for the party on average going quite a bit sooner.
Yeah. All right, that was the College of Dance. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.